We're recording. Okay.
Hey.
Hello. Welcome everybody at home. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Catherine Jamison. I am the owner and founder of Vibrosound Therapy, and I have with me today the beautiful Nicola Buffa from Sourcefield Sound.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Thanks so
Hello.
much for joining us. Thank you so much, Katie, for having me and creating our connection.
Mm-hmm.
So excited. I'm really excited to share today about sound healing.
Amazing. So I've created this for the people at home. I thought it would be nice to start a series of interviews really normalizing and bringing a sense of awareness for all levels of consciousness to start to participate in the conversation around meditation and the benefits of sound therapy and kind of all of the alternative modalities that are out there that people may have at one time in history perceived as something on the fringe of where they feel comfortable to explore. But I feel like now where we're at in humanity, the shift that I've seen where people were once not so interested in stepping outside of the conventional medicine and health practices, and now really starting to find that there is a space for them in their own journey through all of these different modalities. So I think today, talking to Nicola, I really want to discuss how to bring about a sense of normalization of meditation and techniques that everyone can employ into their own life in this really crazy time of life, with obviously a focus on sound therapy. So I met Nicola when I studied sound therapy in San Francisco. I was connected to you through the Globe Institute of Sound Healing.
Right.
With David Gibson. He sent me your email address, and I turned up to your house one day knocking on the door saying, "Hello, complete stranger. I'm here to live with you for 3 months." And
Yes. And so we made friends and have begun this long conversation or ongoing conversation, which I really treasure and really treasure the Globe Institute for doing exactly what it is named for, which was, creating a global network of sound healing because it is such a universal modality, such a way for us to speak across cultures or across nations or across the sea, right? So how do our bodies respond? How do our energies respond? And our energies responded so well to each other, in part because you said, "Hey, I'm coming to the school," and I said, "Well, I want to meet people from the school." I went to the school also, so.
Could you tell people a little bit around your experience in studying and how you came from being interested in sound therapy? What kind of drove you into the space to find your groove with sound, and then going on to learning sound, and now what you do as a practitioner and that kind of journey?
Thanks. Yeah. Well, so many healers begin their interest in their practice through their personal quest for healing, and I am that. So I had been pursuing really all sorts of alternative modalities at the time, especially acupuncture and hypnosis therapies. And it was actually my hypnotherapist who gave me a recording. I was a sound healing recording, frequencies that she said, "I think you might like this." I had suffered from fibromyalgia for a decade. So
For
at
a
the time,
decade. I didn't realize it was 10 years. Wow.
yes, 10 years. So I had searched far and wide. The answer was, "You're not going to be feeling any better anytime soon." And I said, "That's just not going to be enough for the life that I want to live." So I was looking, seeking. And when I found the recording, it changed me. It changed me so rapidly to just listen to these frequencies, which this particular recording was one of David Gibson's recordings, his cymatic frequency recordings, which, it's not music. And it was the first time that I'd really heard something like that. You put it on and it's kind of like droning, pulsing frequency. And I was surprised that I was really drawn to that in a way. I found myself noticing times when I would want to be hearing it. Like I was be at work and I'd be like, I really feel like I need to listen to that frequency at my lunchtime. So it was having an effect on me pretty rapidly. And I really started looking into it. Like, what is this? And found out that they were making it here. Dave Gibson was in the Soma at the time. The school was located inside San Francisco, which is where I live. So I thought, well, they're right there. I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna find out. And that's when I found out they had classes, and I found out a lot more about what is healing music, or how can meditation be used in this way. And I was coming from my background as a painter. And that's how I.
Because you did art. Were you in art therapy, or were you an arts degree?
So I'd had a degree in art, and I'd had a second degree in psychology. I got both at the same time at the University of California, Santa Cruz. And so for me, there was always a very psychological interest and an understanding of dream therapy at a degree level. So symbology, for example, and how the brain is made of symbols, and how thoughts are constructed, and thoughts are created as responses to stimuli that could be traumatic. So, all this background in the psychology, and then had followed through the painting and become an artist. At the time, I first was listening to the frequencies at my painting studio, and my paintings started looking different too. Like everything was changing. My whole self was changing. And I was like, how is this one recording doing that? So I got interested. I started going over to the school on their open house days, and I started signing up for a class or two. I thought, well, at least it's going to change what I'm thinking about. And I thought that would be really an upturn for me with the fibromyalgia as it was at the time. And I had a lot of grief. My father had recently passed away at that time too. So I was like seeking some kind of supportive stimuli, community stimuli also. And so the healing community started to really interest me in that way, because people were gathering at the school to have lunch in between the classes. And the conversations were just fascinating about meditation. And so, so I really followed that path. I kept going. It was like a little thread, and I kept pulling it, and just allowing myself to be interested, and also allowing myself to be interested in something that wasn't the same thing that I had been interested in, which took some courage. People start to know you for what you are.
Did you find you had resistance when you first initially started listening to the Cyma frequencies in the thick of mainstream schooling, your obviously like major life events? Did you find that there was a transition between one school of thought to, like, was there resistance when you started following this thread, or was it natural?
It was very natural for me, because, as I said, I had already tried acupuncture. Acupuncture had already showed me that the body is electric, and that it has a system and it has a grid, and that if you're adjusting inside that grid, you can really change your whole spirit. And I had already been practicing very deeply the out-of-body experience that you can have during an acupuncture time. And I'd had a few bad years of fibromyalgia where I had really practice astral projection to save my life, like
as a way to
cope.
Yeah.
So for me, the sound healing was like a great bridge between all kinds of things that I already knew. Like it brought me like in sync with art and the creation, healing as an active meditation, divine consciousness being received to you as a creative individual in a creative moment, how thoughts are shaping how life looks and feels, how the body is connected to thought and feeling. All of this had been shown to me through other modalities, my career as an artist, my interest as a psychologist, my personal history as a musician, just everything really came into sync, which is why sound healing is so powerful, is because the adjustment is allowing yourself to believe that something so fun could really be so good for you. And that that healing is so beautiful, so deep and so beautiful, which, you know, the medical system hadn't offered me that. And so that's the other side of this, is after a long time with fibromyalgia, I was ready to say yes to anything that A, didn't hurt to do to heal, and B, felt so natural, felt so beautiful.
That's amazing. If someone was at home and they were wondering, could you just talk a little about, like, in my background, I studied classical music, and I was going to study postgrad in music therapy. But what I found, I guess I want to talk to you a little bit about the difference between music therapy and sound therapy, and the key aspects. Like, for my journey, I found within music therapy, I read the curriculum, and I remember at that point, I think I had already learnt energy healing, and I kind of understood the mind, body, soul, spirit connection. I kind of understood consciousness. Like, when you first start opening those doors of perception, the whole world is blown open. And I found that when I looked into the music therapy aspect, I felt jibbed. Like, I felt that there wasn't an awareness of consciousness or frequencies or connecting to that higher divinity. So could you speak a little on, for people at home, what the difference you see between music therapy and sound therapy is?
Yes, thank you. Cool question. And what a gorgeous background you have in music, can I just say? That brings so much to your healing transmissions, because music and music therapy really requires the human universals of emotional narratives. So the music itself and the intervals and the way that it's arranged, the melodies, it has a story. And those stories, when we're listening, are programmed, they're cultural, they're recognizable, they're also, like I said, universal. So certain sounds in the music will make you feel sad, or they'll make you feel happy. And so music can take you on a journey. It can take you on a journey where it shows you this emotion, and the words really reach you in a deep place. We've all experienced that. We've all experienced the sad song coming on and taking us to a sad place. And you know what? That can be therapeutic. And so, yes, there is music therapy, which can help us to remember feelings. It helps Alzheimer patients to transport themselves into memories that they would otherwise not be able to unlock. So, you know, it has a power. The difference in music therapy and sound healing is on that frequency level. So, like I mentioned in the beginning, the frequency that I had first gained access to, David Gibson's cymatic frequency, it's not music. It's just a vibration, a sound. It's a drone. It's a pulsation, a rate of pulsation. This is an example of a frequency. It is a single note. It has overtones and undertones. Duration of it and the subtle pulsation makes it a frequency.
Could you speak a little about, I often describe to people who are just getting into sound therapy, trying to explain, I guess, like the very fundamentals of the science of sound. And I think one of the best ways that I've come across explaining how sound and vibration can literally create form and structure within the cells, within the emotions. Can you speak a little bit about, like, I really like the way that it speaks about the body as being like an orchestra, and when you are sick, when you are stressed.
Let me expand about the frequency itself, because what you're talking about, this cellular level of reconstruction, is affected by the frequency itself. So the scientific correlations for different frequencies effect on the body, on the cells, on the water of the body, which is quite impressionable, as we know from the studies of Dr. Emoto, that when you speak to water, it arranges itself differently. And so that is the magical substance that we are made of. And so the frequencies themselves have a direct effect on that molecular alignment of a major building block of our core. So if you're arranging that differently, and the body is electric, as we know, then the current of electric conductivity is going to be heightened in the body. That alone has a cleansing effect, a brightening effect. It has the overall clarity of mind is present when that is throughout the body. So the frequencies themselves affect us on a cellular level, as well as every other level, the level of your organs, which has an individual vibration, the level of vibration for your human voice and how does it express and what's its home note, the level of vibration to move the voice inside the body when toning. So, you know, all in vibration, everything is vibration.
Maybe we could get doing a little exercise to show people at home. I think there is a perception out there where it's quite hard to understand that everything is vibrating and creating vibration. But I think with the voice, you get a really tangible experience to be able to shift your own body. So I think for like those of you at home, it would be a really beautiful exercise. If we all make a sound, if you make a sound with your mouth open, the sound is kind of like the energy, because sound is physical, it can drive that energy, emotion in energy and motion out of the body. But when you close your mouth, you can feel your own resonance and your own vibration with the power of your voice. So would you like to give someone an experience at home to feel that, to feel their own vibration?
So you'll see I'm getting myself sitting up, and I've had a sip of water here. One of the first things to know about sound healing and using your voice is that the tone quality of the voice is not important. So if you've ever been told that you shouldn't be singing because of the sound of your voice, you are free of that now. If you can give yourself all the permission that you would need to make a sound by actively saying to yourself, I give myself the permission to make a sound. Because many of us do.
Which is a huge block for a lot of people.
And a lot of people don't realize that we've been told in a way to shh, like just be. So give yourself the permission and get centered in the body. As if you could give yourself a hug. What would it feel like to pull yourself in? Give yourself a squeeze there and arrive in your body. And even if you just allow a small hum to begin in the throat. That's the sound of M. They're soft. It's just inside the throat, here in the front. This is where our voice lives. This is our throat chakra here. But if you let yourself kind of, maybe you'd like to make a smaller sound, something up inside your head, you might.
Feels amazing.
Right? Where if you wanted to make a sound lower in the body, you might open your mouth just a little bit and use the sound UH.
And because the lower the pitch, the lower the aspect of your body. So the lower the notes, where is that resonating in the body?
And making a correlation about where the notes are resonating in the body. And even if you can, feel the resonating in your body, so that when you vibrate lower, feel how it does sink in your throat. Feel how you can imagine the low body,
Mm-hmm.
the belly,
Mm-hmm.
the lungs, the diaphragm pulling down, because it's really about moving the energy. So like if I'm here in my throat, and I know I'm here because I'm, and that's my middle, and then I go a little bit lower, and that's my low, I can feel myself moving my energy down. Or if I feel myself moving my energy up. And so I just do a little exercises to move my energies up or down in the body,
Mm-hmm.
and just see how I can gain some control, and how nice it feels to do a sweep.
Mm-hmm.
There are tones that are associated for each chakra, and you can tone the chakra so that you supplement your body with the sound of the seed syllable, which is a magical building block of language, and language is magic. So
When we think about a stable tone, also, I'd love for you to tell people, I know myself, definitely, I think everybody experiences to some degree a level of low grade humming, that low grade anxiety feeling where you're about to go into a shopping center, where you're about to get into the car with busy traffic, where you're about to do something that tests your nervous system. Maybe you have PTSD and you've had experiences that you're replaying. How would somebody use their voice in a very everyday setting to, could you talk a little bit about the vagus nerve, I guess is what I'm getting at.
yeah, I can. The vagus nerve, it's a large nerve stem, a lot like the brain, and then how the nervous system comes out from that main center. We're familiar with that nerve map that's in our body. There's a very similar nerve, quite large, that runs from the throat, as if the throat were the brain, and it reaches out and it touches every one of our major organs in our body. And so the vagus nerve then has nerve tendrils that touch all the different energy centers of the body, the different organs, which means that the vagus nerve is capable of taking information through sound and expelling it using the lung, which is a great detoxifier of the body. So actually using the voice and the vagus nerve to tone in the different organs or different parts of the body can bring you a great stress relief. And I would also say that even just toning during a stressful time brings a lot of relief, because it brings a sense of balance, a sense of the medium, which if you're having a PTSD response, you may be having oscillating emotions at high frequency, in which case you're experiencing anxiety, and you could flatten that out using the sound that you could make yourself, and then generate that calming.
How long would someone need to tone to come out of that heightened fight or flight response mode into, like, how long does it really take to, in your own space, come into that rest and digest?
I find it happens fast. And the most beautiful medicine that is within meditation is that the more that you meditate, the faster you can access these levels of calm. Like the more that we travel to these states of being within ourselves that are calm, are capable of receiving stimuli in a healthy fashion. The more we go there, the faster we can return.
Speaking on meditation and how that ties into sound, I'd love to also discuss one, the spiritual aspect of incorporating a meditation technique or practice that suits the everyday person, but also I really am about informing and learning how our physiological makeup works, understanding what state are we in when we're in our everyday waking state, what state are we in when we do feel calm, and kind of understanding mentioning electrical makeup, understanding our brain waves and how just a really basic understanding of brainwave activity could really empower someone to be a conscious creator and shifter of their receptivity to the world.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the science of brainwave states as correlated to the states of consciousness is an important tenet of sound healing. To understand that in the theta brainwave state, for example, we experience dreaming most commonly. Mm-hmm. Theta is also the brainwave state that's most commonly used with hypnotherapy. Mm-hmm. And in this brainwave state, we can accomplish healing thoughts using active imagination and using sound healing journeys. And we access it through the frequency. So the frequency itself and the rate of pulsation will entrain the brain. We can also entrain the brain to have thought revelation with faster brainwave states at gamma. We can also go into very deep states of relaxation, which is also used in many other therapies for sleep and for rest, is to induce deep brainwaves. So it's very exciting that sound healing can take us through that and assist us in meditation, because the meditative path has kind of a formula of brainwaves. And so we can tap into that when we're creating healing music and creating sound bath, which is the experience of the multiple frequencies mixed for your alignment, which has the basis in its science. It's not just the bing bang bong spa music, which is lovely too, but good sound healing transmissions have been really carefully constructed to take you in and out of those brainwave states in a way that will truly assist your meditation and to find your healing intention.
And the meditation response that comes, like the amount of times when I'm running a sound bath, I witness humans come into the space just from peak hour traffic. They've had a really long day at work. Their energies are completely frazzled. And it's interesting to note how rapidly we entrain to environments, how rapidly we adapt and we shift to the external stimuli around us. And watching when someone comes and lays down to experience, who I wouldn't say has a regular meditation practice, who is on that type of path or journey, how fast you actually can enter that really, really deep state to where you are almost asleep. And I guess in that sleep space, you're in your own type of healing journey. Your body is repairing on all of those different levels.
Yeah. It's truly amazing, and it's really quite instant. Can't say how many people have ever experienced the sound bath. So many who have said this to me. They're like, I didn't know that I was going to be transported to that place of deep peace so completely and so rapidly. There's no way to really totally explain how magical that is, and how restful that is. Very amazing key component that I found that really brought me next level out of the fibromyalgia. You have to understand the deep level of systematic nervous system reset that I required after having had fibromyalgia for a decade. That was really deep level reset that I was requiring after that long-term misalignment. So sound healing brought me that easily, so easily, that in that personal journey that I was talking about earlier that I was on with the sound healing, that once I discovered what it could do and I saw how that could act exponentially, I shifted my whole life. I shifted my whole focus. Like, I was like, this is it. This is what's going to work. This is what brings relief. For anyone who has tried everything looking for the relief, that you're so desperately seeking. Like sound healing was that so immediately because of that you're talking about, where like when you come to the sound bath, like maybe you don't know what to expect, but you're going to feel it. And people who are skeptical, that's what I tell them. If they're skeptical, I say, look, I don't have to tell you anything about this. If you lay down, you allow yourself to experience this thing that we're calling sound healing through sound bath or several other modalities of sound healing meditation, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it. Because it is also physical, because the physical body is going to be vibrated in a beautiful way. It's beautiful. It sounds very beautiful. And then, you know, people start to bring in all these other lovely aspects of other vibrational healings, like crystals, essential oils, plant medicines, shamanic practices. People start layering in all these really gorgeous things that feel really nice when you're really trying to heal. And so sound healing really can offer on a lot of levels. But even if you're just there to be like, what is this? And you find out that it vibrates you in a way that makes you feel both alert and calm,
grounded and lifted. Yeah. The most common thing that I hear is somebody's body is sinking deep, deep, deep within the earth. Like, I feel like people are like, I just went to the core of the earth and my whole body got a deep relax and my spirit was just flying. Either, like, I love what you said about sound being a transportational tool. I feel like one of my favorite aspects with sound healing is it does work across all the levels. You can have a physical reset. You can have the consistent vibration creating a harmonization within your skeletal structure, your bloodstream. Your body is made out of water, but then it has that mental resonance. So it's taking you into that deep brainwave state where your self-healing abilities can kick in. And then there's the emotional response. So when you're choosing the bowls, when you're having that really beautiful, perfect fifth, that harmony, that unison, creating that container where you're sitting in, it's like a choir of harmony. And then when you bring in that slight level of dissonance, your spirit goes, and wherever you're at and what you need is what you get. If you need to revisit a situation in your consciousness, you can travel there and you can have those wild experiences, and then you can be brought back with a complete result. And what have you done? Nothing. You've laid there. What was it? Painful? Did you have somebody soaring into you? No. You know, like, it's so, I'm just in awe at it functions on all of the levels of our being. I just think that's incredible.
I do too. And I love how you were touching on the painlessness aspect of healing in that way, right? So it's really very gentle. Although, I mean, meditation can be difficult, right? So, you know, like, it's not about, you know, everything is light and love and we're gonna, you know, purple wash it all and say that, like, this is going to heal you and you're not going to feel a thing. That's not totally it either. Like, you might feel a lot, but that might be the thing that you need to get there. So to me, the sound healing has a very, very gentle way of letting me know that I am not alone. It has a very gentle way of connecting us to the one consciousness, which is why people choose to use plant medicines. So this is a very powerful medicine that is achieved without any plant ally assistance, without any medications, without any, so the modality existing without the supplement of a drug of any kind that feels gentle, that isn't a surgery, as you pointed out. Although sometimes we need those too, and we need the sound healing to help us recover, right?
I love on that what Dr. Bruce Lipton spoke about. I remember when I first got into sound therapy, one of the major turning points, he was describing pharmaceutical medicine and sound science. What do they both do? Essentially, you're sending a signal to the cell. When you take a drug, it's sending a signal through your body, through the bloodstream, and saying, hey, cell receptor site, we're going to behave this way so as to stop firing these electrical pulses of pain to this part of the body, so then you can operate in a different function. What sound is doing is sending an electrical signal through the water, so it doesn't have to conduct or have any type of reaction. It's sending the exact signal to the cell through our intentionality, going through the body of water, which travels faster than it does through the bloodstream anyway, without any side effects. And you can send signals directly to the cell to behave differently. It operates faster. There's no chemical reaction where heat is used. So 98% of the information or the energy that is being delivered to that cell is actually lost when you take a drug because of the heat and the energy that's expended to reach there. And I remember just pausing the video being like, what? Seeing it in that way for me was an amazing way to look at the very physiological, biological mechanisms of sound, just sending a signal to the cell to operate differently.
Absolutely. And the way meditation is that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the power of requesting your body with a clear message, and having sounds that can make those requests very directly, very electrically. And using the two together is why you would see a sound healing practitioner who can help you understand which frequencies and what kinds of intentions, and electrically how to direct that. That's what an energy sound healing practitioner is going to be doing. It's combining the approach there to really get at the root issue of the blockage or the thought pattern, if you will.
Yeah, the intentionality plus the specific frequencies directed, your energy and focus being guided into that space. In your practice, what are the main conditions that people would come to you with? And what do you believe, say people are at home and they haven't tried sound therapy, what kind of relief can you bring in? What kind of conditions do people come to you with?
Excellent question. What a beautiful question. I feel that the sound healing that I offer, and I'm saying it that way because I think so many practitioners have kind of a different and very personalized approach because of different backgrounds. So I do tend to see creative people or artsy people because I tend to socialize with artsy people and meet them. And I think meeting your healer is like a good way to know if you're going to want to work with them, or reaching out and finding out if the energies are in line there. But the people that I see frequently are in transition. They're going through something where they realize, look, I'm here in my life and I would like to be here in my life. And the road is uncertain. And I need support. And I need to be connected to my inner wisdom. And so I do have clients that are in transition in their lives. They're looking to strengthen their intentions. They're looking to reach a spiritual goal, an inner spiritual goal that they have identified, or they feel that they are seeking and they need help identifying what those spiritual goals could be. So there's kind of a coaching aspect to that helps people unpack their thought landscapes, what is going on for them and what kinds of patterns can I see. I also read the tarot, so sometimes we're using other tools to help kind of divinate different thought patterns that they may be experiencing. And then how can we alchemize that? How can we use frequency and thought alchemy to change our outlooks and go through our transition time, which could also include changing your job, family transitions, divorces, death. People go through things that take time. Depression, anxiety, chronic depression or chronic anxiety.
Lots of anxiety,
lots of depression too, because I do live in a big city, and people can feel really alienated in big cities sometimes, and the anxiety. People have ongoing, persistent anxiety, and they're looking for ways to feel different about their lives and feel relief from that. So. I would say that I also see a fair amount of people who have, I'm going to call it injury, right? So they have kind of a traumatic happening, or an injury, or a surgery, or an upcoming event that will be stressful. People frequently want sessions around that kind of thing as well, to help strengthen them, or to help them recover, or to help them process, or to help them go into a very deep state of relaxation where they can heal their own ankle with the assistance of the frequency and the energy healing. So there's like so many different reasons, you know. So like I could go on. Like, do I see people with chronic pain? Yes. Do I see people with soul quests? Yes. Do I see people with general feelings of malaise? Yes. Like so many people. They're also beautiful.
Yeah. It's interesting to note you do draw in, I love what you said about finding the symbiosis between your energy and the person that you're working with. I think there's a certain level of trust that needs to be formed, and a level of safety when you're working with the unconscious, when you're working with thought processes and patternings, trauma responses. When you start to work with people on that level, I always feel so honored that I can create a space that is safe enough for people to open up and to emotionally release. I think a large part of sound therapy, like you said before, yes, it is beautiful and it's painless, but also sometimes it's horrific, and you really do get to that deep place, and the pain only is there until it's expressed for a few moments. And in that point, sound guides us and allows us to access that very core root pain and issue. And I like to say, like, a lot of the work that I do, I find, is a lot of just emotional release. I think there's a level of relaxation, but I think my favorite is when someone is willing to say, hey, I've been storing this for a really long time, and we allow that container to express that energy and to release that, to transform that, to alchemize that, and leave the body, because everything is stored in our field. And if we're in this space of constriction, self-doubt, worry, anxiety, judgment, shame, guilt, that low vibrational frequency is inhibiting the amount of light, color, sound, energy that is allowed to be absorbed in our body. And if it's there for long enough, it crystallizes in your physical body and manifests as these growths, these diseases. But when we can find the root energy of this and go into the space to release, it's like healing can take a long time, but then healing can be so instant as well. And that's another thing I think is really powerful with sound therapy, is you can jump between frequency bandwidths of disease to health in however long you want, whatever is serving you for your highest experience.
It's so true. I certainly can relate to all of that in my healing journey, personally, and with people that I've seen. You know, when you trust your practitioner to witness you safely, allowing that, there's a power in that. There's a power in being witnessed energetically, being supported by the frequency, feeling connected to the one consciousness, having the kind oversight of the healer as just as a gift of energetic presence is helpful. You know, somebody to witness you having your tears, so that this stress, this crystallized, it is a crystalline substance that is in the cellular water, right? We detox that when we receive frequency and we come into alignment. So it has to come out, and one of the ways that it comes out is to cry.
Scream, laugh, all of the body releases.
Yeah,
For somebody at
again,
home,
the vagus nerve, right? So like when it comes out your mouth like this, when the sound comes out and it's touching all the internal organs through that nerve, and the vibration of that and the electricity of that is coming out, the excess charge, the excess electrons are being released from the body. They're being detoxified by the lung and the metabolic action of the lungs breath. That's a pump, right?
for people at home, and that might actually sound really terrifying if you've never experienced sound therapy. So for people at home, if they wanted to start engaging with exploring their own brainwaves, exploring shifting from that really heightened state to a very calm presence, how could somebody either connect with you or connect with information on the web? What would they look for? What would they look at?
Thank you. I have a website that is sourcefieldsound.com.
I'll leave a link below. Yeah.
And my name is Nicola Buffa, and I'm in San Francisco. And do also have Instagram, and really love talking to people on the Instagram social media, if you like that as well. But I love an email. I'd love to hear an email from you with any sound healing questions or anything you'd want to talk about. I'm loving the new ways that we're able to work like this. This is amazing. We've just been chatting this video chat from San Francisco all the way to Brisbane. And that's magical too. So open to the new ways of connecting with the Zoom and telephone sessions as well. So
in my experience with your sessions, I've had a few of your sound healing sessions, and they are incredible over distance. And I think maybe even I have, of course, being in person and being via distance is a different expression, but I think maybe I even felt more safe and more calm and more in my own space to receive via distance. So I can attest to your amazing sessions. They're incredible.
Thank you so much. I'm so proud that the time that I'd spent working on the astral traveling in my own healing journey has now allowed me to really be in a healing place when I'm doing distance learning. It's really a very positive modality for me as well. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I am sure that we will have much to discuss. I'd love to pick your brain about sacred geometry and light frequencies and color and art therapy. But I think for today, if anybody listening and watching has any questions, or if they would like to have a session with Nicola, I will leave the links below. Or if you want to just reach out and get that conversation started around integrating meditation, sound therapy in your life.
Absolutely. Katie, you have so many offerings that are really helping people to do exactly that, to integrate how they can see sound healing. And that's why I think the vibro sound healing, really the mission that you have to help reach people is felt so strongly in that intention, such integrity in your work. Anybody who's working with you knows that you really you just know so much about the science, and we're always bringing the conversation around to the science of it and why it's effective, and really sharing with people how that could be their truth if they're interested is beautiful. Thank you so much for including me in your conversations.
I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody who has been watching. Feel free to share with your family and friends, anyone that's interested in sound, and goodbye. See ya.
Good night.